Hello everyone, this is Jill and I'm here to give the Purdue versus Memphis post-game chat in hopefully under 10. We'll see a lot happen in this game and I feel like this will take longer than 10 minutes. Immediate thoughts. This was an incredible game for Purdue to grind it out. Clearly had a lot of adversity thrown in their face and they were able to overcome all of that without losing their composure for the most part. They did it a few times, but also do it in a way that sealed the deal, confirmed that they won the game. And even when they were struggling in the beginning, shooting-wise, just turnovers, defense, what have you, they were still able to come out of halftime with the fire and passion they needed to, pull out the win. And I think that was incredible to see. I'm upset that it had to happen this way because when games are reffed like this, it leads to a lot of frustration from teams, from fans, from just like regular spectators, and then also it could lead to like injuries and problems down the road. So I hate to see that, and I won't harp on the reffing in this particular game because I think for the most part, everyone can agree that it was egregious, to put it lightly. But yeah, overall, that's where I'll leave the reffing piece. Big stat would be Fletcher Loyer coming out with 20 points after a very cold and quiet first half. Obviously, words were said on the court, and he knew how to fire back in the way that it mattered most. So that was incredible. CJ Cox having a breakout game here to start his season. We knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of when. And it came at a time that it was crucial, especially because I think Braden Smith, while he had an incredible game with 11 assists, his overall points that he scored, normally at 18, I think it said for the season so far, he had 5 points to end this game. So he was able to pick up the slack in ways that it mattered most, and I would say that his threes that he shot and made really emphasized or solidified like the fire in our players, and they were able to have that momentum carry them through the rest of the game because there were so many opportunities where they could have just put their hands up and just say, okay, we're done with this. Let's just get out of here. Jack Benner, I think from what I saw, so I only was able to see live about from the 6-minute mark in the first half all the way to the end. But what I saw, especially when he had to start the second half, I thought his playing was very quiet, but incredibly impactful. He was able to make a really big impact on defense, in my opinion. And while he didn't have many points scored, he grabbed 4 boards, which, as I talked about last time, rebounds I don't take for granted anymore. So I think that was really amazing of him to do. The other quiet players, I thought, like Jakari Harris, Omer Meyer, like really what it came down to at the end of this game was who was not fouling, who was able to keep their man in front of them, and who was able to keep a level head when things were tough. So I saw Painter, he really closed in on who he was playing for the game, and while there were probably some opportunities to swap out, give people some rest, it was probably for the best that he stuck with the main, like the 5 players that were really making an impact on the game, which was really, in my opinion, the starting lineup for the second half. So Oscar Clough, CJ Cox, Fletcher Loyer, Braden Smith, and then Jack Benner. I think Jack Benner got swapped out a bit so TKR could come in, and then when TKR fouled out, he came back in. So those minutes, super impactful, and when the going got tough, they were able to just, keep their head down, play each possession as it came to them, and just tried to get out of there with the win, which thankfully we did. I honestly did not know if we were going to come out with a win just because of how this game was officiated. Another big stat that I think is worth noting is Oscar Clough had 34 minutes, which for a big guy is a lot of minutes. So I think if he has the endurance and can keep that up, he had a great game. 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 11 points. That's pretty good in my opinion. So I think if he can maintain that kind of endurance throughout the season, that's incredible. Obviously, it'd be better if we can swap out between him and Daniel Jacobson. But the fact that he was able to play that many minutes under a lot of pressure with having 4 fouls and keeping his composure when he got fouled to make free throws at the end of the game. Great job, no notes, perfect, 10 out of 10. TKR, a rare technical foul on him, very surprising. He always seems like the most level-headed guy on the court, even when people are talking in his face, getting up in his grill, things like that. There had to have been something. I didn't see what all happened, so I'm going to replay this game many times after this. But, something had to have happened to get under his skin because, man, it is rare to see him that fired up. I'm glad that, people were able to step up and see his frustration and say, like, okay, let's turn this into points, to, like, good plays, things like that. But, yeah, it was tough to lose him to start the second half, I think. And then also when he fouled out, we had a relatively comfortable lead. I think it was like, 2.5, 3 minutes left, and he fouled out, and we were maybe up by 10. So that was, in my eyes, not horrible. I thought Jack Benner could really fill in those shoes for the time being, especially on defense. But, that it's never good to have one of your best players foul out. Also, very rare. I can't even remember. I think the last time we had a lot more players foul out last year, but maybe you can probably count on one hand in the past 2-3 seasons that's happened for a key player. They typically don't lose their cool, and they typically are able to, find a way to play the game without getting a foul called, So that was really surprising to me. Obviously, again, we're going to keep track of Braden Smith's assists, 11 assists. Majority of them happened in the second half. Really impressive. I love the way he got fired up as things got close. He was able to really rally the troops. Him, Fletcher Lawyer, really, I think, showed a lot of leadership. And Oscar Clough, too. I won't deny, like, seeing him so composed after really frustrating plays down by the rim where maybe he got fouled, he fouled, bad calls were being, called on the players. He kept a level head, just kind of like grit his teeth and walked to the other side of the court. So kept his composure really great, I thought, from my perspective. I think when I was first tuning into the game, I was very concerned about our 3-point percentage because I think at one point it was 1 for 8 and then 2 for 10, so not great at all. Field goals, I think, were around 40%, so that was kind of average, I believe, for ending the first half. So that was okay. Finding a way to create opportunities to score, always a good thing. But when it really came down to it, the players focused and were able to score threes when it mattered in the second half. Fletcher Lawyer, CJ Cox made some key 3-pointers that brought the momentum back into Purdue's favor. Very back and forth game. Very, very physical. Memphis, the way that they played, very, for lack of a better word, very pesky. Getting into their grill, agitating our players, swiping at the ball, seeing if they can get away with the foul, being very aggressive when they crash the boards. All things that, a very athletic and lean team does. And I think they're really great at transition plays, which is what they're trying to generate. And when things aren't getting called frequently on both sides, I think it adds frustration to Purdue. So sometimes that can get them flustered. And I think this was a great example of them getting flustered, but then going back to find their composure to find a way to get through this game. Let's see, fouls, personal fouls on Purdue is 21. That's pretty high in my opinion. And then Memphis was 13. Looks like total rebounds, it was pretty even. 20 assists for Purdue, 9 assists for Memphis. So that was pretty great. Turnovers, 10 for Purdue, 11 for Memphis. So around the 10 turnover mark, I think that's probably where we want to say, hey, after winning a tough game like this, that's great, but also let's take care of the basketball. Let's figure out what's going on with that. Some of the turnovers were a little ridiculous in my opinion. I think when the slip and slide situation happened, that was unreal, but at the end of the day, a win is a win. I can't emphasize enough how impressed I was by this, and there were so many instances where I was like, we might lose this game because of the way things are kind of unfolding, and the determination on those players' faces it told you everything. They were not leaving this arena without the win. So extremely impressed, very proud of our guys for doing what they could. I'm hoping that they can rest up for tomorrow. Credit to Memphis for having a very physical approach and aggressive approach to this game. It's these types of teams you're going to face in the tournament, and we have to make sure that we're able to find a way even when things aren't going our way. But that's pretty much it. If I keep going, I'm just going to keep rambling about how insane this game was. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts. I did not expect last video to get as many views as it did, so would love to hear thoughts, commentary on how you thought about the game and how you think we'll face the next opponent. It's either going to be Wake Forest or Texas Tech by the time I'm filming this. Hopefully we'll know soon. But yeah, thanks again for watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.